Are
It's
you
recording,
ready?
yeah.
Gents, this is Aileen's whiskey of choice. Yes, even you can afford Aileen.
What the fuck?
That's enough, cook.
What? The one that's the strongest, you bastard.
No, it's not stronger.
He then also gives me a shot of whiskey
That's beautiful.
that he has not himself consumed.
That is beautiful.
Some bullshit.
Tasty.
Okay, and we're back. I was supposed to have, I don't know why I'm holding this. This doesn't work. Hang on. I have to do my shot. Have you done your shot?
Yep.
No, you have not done your shot. Just because people can't see your drink doesn't mean that, thank you.
My shot.
Okay, that's not a shot, that's a drink.
The shot is a cheers to you. A cheers to you, Aileen. A brave, strong soul trying something new and doing it with a vigor and elegance that can be envied by all. Cheers. There you go.
Suspicious. Such an evil laugh.
Mm-hmm. Is it finished? Good job. Good job.
Like a duck.
But I made you a very nice cocktail.
No, you didn't.
She's sitting with, I gave her like a small tot of whiskey
It
and
was
then
not a
like
small tot.
fill the cup with Coke Zero.
You forgot I took a video of how you were making your shots. Those drinks.
By the way, people have falsely accused me of being that sort of guy, but I don't. I like
the
alcohol.
first minute of this episode, the first minute of this trial is you proclaiming yourself with your chest that you are a bastard.
Yeah. When it comes to alcohol, you have to be a bastard because you're dealing with people who think they're clever. They want you to be vomiting on their couch. Never. You'll never find me vomiting
Still
on your
holding
couch.
on to this. Oh, by the way,
Never.
the couch is looking really nice.
Yeah, fixed
Yeah,
it.
looking
Fixed
really
it.
nice.
Hard work, but it's done.
Okay, so hi, hello, and
And welcome to the Utajua Hujui podcast, brought to you by. Continue.
Brought to you by, I suppose, Hunter's Choice, even though we're not really getting any sponsorships. But you know what? One day we will. It's called Aspirational.
And hunters, we need to be your choice.
Hey! Nice. All right. Okay. So, this is going to be like the first time I'm doing like a video thing. I have no idea how it's going to turn out. I have no idea what it's even looking like right now. It's weird to be recorded and to like have all my mannerisms on display like this. I even dressed well-ish today.
Yeah.
In preparation.
Making me look bad.
I'm sorry. I told you we're coming to do a video podcast.
So?
This is not my.
I thought we were
to
keeping
look
the
like
same.
this.
You know, you guys should see her when she comes when she's not recording video. Nothing, no effort. Just like imagine, and she's visiting her friend. Just give, even for his respect, give him some effort.
Think about it this way. Think about it like perhaps I feel so comfortable around you and in like your home that I feel like I don't need to mask myself and like present myself as this polished individual, and I can allow myself to be a slob.
Shindwe, no one is asking you to be a polished individual. We're just saying sometimes for your friend and for his home, make just a little effort.
I make effort so many times. I just don't see. You know what I mean?
Okay, no, it's true. Don't worry. I'm being a bit extra.
Thank you. You're being a dick. So
We don't say those words here in this home.
okay. I have not had the time to prepare a script like I usually do for this podcast.
So no 8,000 words.
So no 8,000 words. However, having said that, my notes are 12 pages.
Your notes.
My notes
Do you know let me, before we get anywhere, and I know maybe I'm preempting myself, but you know what she wrote to me? Okay, she wrote a lot of messages, but she said that we're going to do like a back and forth preparing questions.
Yes.
Prepare 3 questions.
3 to 5.
3 to 5. Okay, so clearly I chose the minimum.
I chose the maximum.
And we'll have conversations.
This is some real Hermione Harry energy right here, let me just say.
More like Ron. I think I prefer Ron. I think Ron is lazier than Harry.
Ron is lazy.
Harry is lazy, but not really. Like he's top of his class all the time.
Not
like
all the
Ron
time.
doesn't really try. He's just good at certain things, but in a weird way.
Fair
So
enough.
I'd say I'm more Ron than I am. And why are you saying you're Hermione?
I'm sorry, do I not serve Hermione energy all the damn time?
I would have normally said yes, Lakini, because you're feeding your ego too much. Your ego needs to be starved.
Why?
It needs to be placed in the desert,
Why?
away from water.
But like Mini baby girl, I'm so insecure.
Oh.
So you were saying I was sending you text after text after text
Yes,
about this
she
episode.
sends me text after text after text about the episode. She's like, okay, because we're doing this trial, Kariithi, you're going to have to and by the way, she used my real name. She said Greatness, and she said we're gonna have to prepare that I need the whole day. So I'm like, cool, no problem. We'll cut it out. She's like, this Tuesday or next Tuesday. I even said this Tuesday. She's like, no, Kariithi, I want you to say next Tuesday. So I was like, cool, no problem. You know that for me, Wednesdays up are the days Thursdays, Fridays are like my worst days.
Yeah.
So fine, we do this Tuesday, no problem. Then she tells me prepare 3 to 5 questions to have a conversation around.
Yes.
So how many pages does Kariithi have? 2.
But you need
2
to
pages.
have, look, I'm the type of person that likes to have like as many notes as possible. That way, in case our conversation veers off in any tangent, I am ready. Some might call me over-prepared. I prefer the term hyper-vigilant.
All will call you over-prepared.
Hey.
She's those people, and I've worked with her, who embarrass you. Both, I'm sure in class she had there were those students that hated her.
Actually, no. In class, and I feel like if anyone from my high school will watch this, they will be able to confirm what I'm saying. I was more of a distraction than anything else. Like my notes were always on point. I always knew where we were in class. But God help you if you sat next to me and you were not on top of your shit.
You see,
right? Because I would distract you because I know what's going on.
And like answering all the questions for the teachers.
I'm not answering
it's
all
going
the
over time and everyone wants to leave and she's like, no, but sir.
Actually, no. I was never the kid that was like, teacher, we have homework. I was the person that would side-eye you if you ever said that. Right? The only time I started taking that homework thing seriously was when we had exams coming on. Mm-hmm. And I realized, look, it's to my benefit if we have opportunities to
homework
test.
Is to nobody's benefit. It teaches you a false thinking around the whole concept of work.
Which is
that when work is incomplete, you go home and continue.
Yes.
No. That's how people are getting burnt out today, isn't it?
It is.
Exactly.
But I will say this:
it's forcing people to work to become dogs.
You're right, because when I was a kid, mm-hmm. one of the things that I looked forward to the most in terms of being an adult mm-hmm. was that I would be able to get home and not have to do homework. Like my home time is my home time. Mm-hmm. And then as an adult, I realized
it's even worse.
It's even worse because when you get home, you actually have responsibilities. Like
number one, you get home, you have responsibilities. Then if you want to be, what is the word, ambitious?
I need to charge my laptop. Just continue. I'm still paying attention.
And then if you want to be ambitious, you as an adult, it means that you work excessive hours, yes. that you're always on call, that you're making calls at midnight, going for golf tournament, and all these things are work. But they're all work.
They're all work. It's
then you start growing in responsibilities. So then your home time is also dealing with family issues, family stresses. Then you now deal with pressures that come with adulthood. Now, hey, where are the babies? Where are the things? You need to start dating. So where is the time? So that's why I'm like, work should remain being called work. Work is to be done at work.
So on that note, we need to actually do this podcast. We've been bantering for 11 minutes.
That's better than usual.
So this is actually, it is. But this is how it's going to work. Each of us has prepared a series of questions that are designed to trip the other person up.
Yes.
If you get the answer wrong, you have to do a drink.
A shot. That's what you said.
Fine,
and we have the shot glass right there.
Shot.
I love
Nairobi. Oh.
No, Brno.
What's Brno?
Shout out to my cousin who came from Czechia and brought me a shot glass.
The Czech Republic?
It's now called Czechia, I think. I think it's now called Czechia.
Here it is. Mm-hmm. All right, so if you get the answer wrong, you have to do a shot. Mm-hmm. And then we will have discussions based on the question and the answers that come up, right?
Okay, good.
So please allow us to pause because I can hear my laptop whirring away.
Oh yeah, your laptop is like an aeroplane right now.
It's because I feel like I'm demanding a lot of her, and it's fine. We're going to get through this, sweetheart. We're going to get through this, I promise.
No wonder it's a her.
But we need to just take a pause for a minute, and then we'll be right back. All right, I think we're back. My computer is trying its best. Like I said,
it's gonna go back airplane again.
This
is the real airplane mode. I don't know why guys talk about that other thing of at frequencies. No. Kenyans who have those HPs, you know the ones I'm talking to. You know you guys. I'm talking to you guys. Who your laptops sound like aeroplanes. Please shape up. There are those creators on TikTok that give you very cheap laptops. Get them. Let go of the aeroplane.
So like I said, we're back.
Sure.
I think we haven't done the what am I drinking today, but it's going to be Hunter's Choice with Coke or coffee and tea. again, we are over 25. We're not trying to be consistently drunk today. We have shit to do.
You know, I'm gonna say this because seeing how we've started, it is now 11:49 a.m. We are quarter way through the hunters. By the end of this episode, I think we'll be like quarter left.
Maybe.
Because I think she's gonna take all the shots. I don't think I'm gonna get an answer wrong. I'm not gonna get an answer.
You know
wrong.
what? Be overconfident.
No.
It is my turn to start.
That was genius. First, let's pour the shot.
Okay.
Let's make sure that
pour
shot
the shot for the loser. This is the shot glass.
For the ancestors.
For libations. Right.
Right there.
See? Okay. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Question number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Which countries in Africa were never colonized?
Okay. Number 1, first, before I go anywhere, you said countries.
Yes.
You said countries.
Yes.
So now that leads to a number of questions. Let's deal with the obvious. When that question is always asked, everyone means Ethiopia.
Yes.
So to take Ethiopia, put it to the side. That's one.
Yes, we did Ethiopia.
Now we have to be very what's the word? Critical in our thinking here. I would say another one is Egypt.
Ooh.
I would say Egypt.
Okay.
Egypt never really got colonized. There's that paper they signed, there is all those things, but they didn't really get colonized. But now that you've given me that reaction, I will remove Egypt. Okay, so we're going to deal with now, we go West Africa, and we think about the two West African countries that you think of when you think of colonialism. That's Liberia, Sierra Leone.
Okay.
So Sierra Leone, I believe, got colonized.
By the British.
So let's go to... So now we're stuck at Liberia, which now, that's just for semantics. But you said countries, so we're going to say they also got colonized. So I'm going to say Liberia and Ethiopia.
Okay, you're right. So the shot remains, you're right. But here's why we're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. Okay, so my first question to you is this. Can black people do a colonialism?
Absolutely.
Or is it exclusively for white people?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Explain, show your working, please.
Show my work.
Yes, please.
What does colonialism entail? It means it's a sort of dominance from one group of people over another group of people in the territory of the other group of people.
Yeah.
That's what colonialism is.
Yeah.
The British came to Kenya.
Yeah.
They took over Kenya's resources, made them their own, and ruled over them as their subjects.
Yes.
That was colonialism.
Yes.
Why we say Ethiopia didn't have that is because no one came and did that.
I mean,
they tried.
Mussolini in the 30s.
The Italians tried, but luckily, you know, sometimes timing is brilliant. Number one, there's the whole law against for Haile Selassie, but there's also the situation of it was such a time that the allies were never going to allow a non-ally.
Except that's what happened.
An enemy non-ally.
Like
an enemy ally.
Yeah, but like the Abyssinian crisis for the League of Nations in 1935, they Haile Selassie went to the League of Nations being like, hey, guys.
Help us.
Please, they're invading our sovereignty. And the rest of the white countries were like, oh.
Not sure. But they did end up getting a little support, didn't they?
Un poquito.
Un poquito.
Un poquito.
So, what happened, Liberia is a really weird story. So Liberia has suffered two ways. They suffered from slavery, but then now what happens is as the black movement grows in the US, you have many thinkers who start to believe that the only way, in fact, there's this, I think he's the most famous black thinker right now. I can't remember his name. He's very radical. He has like a beard and shortish hair, and he's always, I can't remember his name.
Was it Du Bois?
He's alive.
Oh, okay.
And he's young. He's like in his 40s.
Ta-Nehisi Coates?
I don't think so. And he says that black people, he was telling people to call them American Africans instead of African Americans, and he's saying it's because of the point of focus. He's like, we have never been Americans. That's his claim. We have always been Africans in America. So that thought process is something that happened for the longest time, where African American thinkers believe the only way we're going to get through this thing, because you know you guys did a slavery, is separation.
So that's actually like how Liberia was born, right? And it's really important that as like an African continent we discuss the idea of Liberia, because I think for the longest time, I thought black people were always the historical victims. We were never the perpetrators of like colonialism and colonial violence.
We're just as terrible.
We are
Human
just as
beings
terrible.
are terrible.
But like, what also makes it different is that like the black Americans that came from America to Liberia were coming in with this idea of like white supremacy and colorism already in their brains. Their minds had already been colonized, right? So when they landed in like a place like Liberia, which was uncolonized, its indigenous and native populations still
scattered
and everything. But you're coming into it as like, I'm a Christian, and Christianity is the best religion. I speak English, and that's the best language. I have all these things of civility like rice and trains and oil and like cloth and all these things, which makes me a better person.
And we're not going to allow you to become like leaders of our country.
Pretty much, and that's essentially what happened. Like, do you know the Liberian Constitution was drafted in 1847, but indigenous people of Liberia only got the right to vote in 1904.
There you go.
57 years later.
And when was their first president?
The first president, I think, was like a white guy.
The first Liberian native president.
I don't think we've had that yet. Because see, Sir Johnson Sirleaf was also like an American-Liberian.
It wasn't Charles Taylor.
Charles Taylor is
just... The story of Charles Taylor is just wow.
Have you read the story of his son? My God, his son got up to some fucked up shit.
Hell, if you actually, this is even a plug to your TikTok. You talked about Charles Taylor's slogan, which was...
Yes, in 1997, his slogan was, "He killed my ma, he killed my pa, but I will still vote for him." And this was like after the Civil War.
I can't believe that. I can't believe that.
I can. How can you not? Because you have to think about it in the context of the Liberian Civil War, which is that who else are you going to vote for? Like, as a citizen, you just want the fighting to stop. And you will do and vote for whomever will allow that to happen.
Yeah. I suppose so.
And at that point, personally for me, I wouldn't want somebody making me promises that don't feel genuine.
Yeah.
That will never ring true. I'd much rather you be honest and you lay out your cards, and I can make an informed decision about who it is I'm voting for. And for better or worse, I'm not going to justify this man's war crimes because he's a war criminal. Also, your camera's doing the most. I feel like I should switch off this effect. Because what I've done for your camera is that
have you done?
Anytime you move, it centers you, so the camera moves to put you in the center at all times.
What up?
Which I think is what's causing my computer to go a bit overboard.
Yeah, but it's starting to make noise again. But we can break after every question.
Let me fix this. I'm going to move center stage. It's going to have portrait mode. There. See?
The first president of indigenous background was...
On Liberia.
Oh dear. Yeah, this is some white guy. Joseph Jenkins Roberts.
Yeah. So I think as a continent, we need to understand the story of Liberia because it's this very interesting experiment of white people realizing they fucked up by enslaving and oppressing black people. And instead of refusing to do the inner work of, hey, these people are equal to us, they're equal with us, we just need to expand opportunities. They're like, let's just kick them out. And then that's how we solve the problem.
1 + 1 is 76.
Pretty much, right? And then you have these people who have been mentally colonized coming to Africa, coming quote unquote home, and then expecting everything to be okay and expecting that these fundamentally changed individuals will be able to adapt to this reality that is so alien to them. And I think the reason why it's important to talk about it is because of the diaspora. Right, we have this amazing diaspora. I'm sure you know this in Kenya. Was it last year, in 2022, Kenyans on average sent home $300 million a month?
Look at that. $300 million.
A month?
Yeah.
Which is insane. And we haven't yet sat to grapple with all these people who are claiming as our own are now living abroad and they're constantly being changed by their experiences. What does that mean for us here?
True, but even I remember, this is just sort of to add to your point when you talk about diaspora. My favorite lecturer, Cassandra Vini.
Yeah.
She was crazy. She failed her first class. It was brilliant. She came, so she's Black American, and she'd come and she'd say, you need to understand that we need to break apart and separate what the diaspora is. So you have two types of diaspora. You have Africans of the blood and Africans of the soil.
Okay, I like that. Blood and soil, that.
So of the soil is you, Aileen, you go to the diaspora. You're an African of the soil.
I was born here.
You were born here. Stevie Wonder, who has his Ghanaian citizenship and whatever and all these things, is an African of the blood. And there's that sort of separation. And for the longest time, in fact, we really thank West Africa. West Africa is the leading the way in this. Africans of the blood and Africans of the soil just don't mix. Think of it this way, Aileen. You went abroad.
Yeah.
Your close friends. Who are your close friends? What were the races?
My close friends were white.
If they were African, they were from?
Or Africans of
If they were black, they were from Africa.
So they were like South Africans, Zimbabweans from the soil.
From the soil.
Nigerians from the soil.
And then a lot of Africans like the Asians a lot, so you have Asian friends and white friends.
I have a lot of,
But did you have a British black, like very close friend?
No.
You didn't. Many Africans, they think through it and they're like, by the way, like I went to the US and all my friends who were black were Africans or at least immigrants. They weren't like African Americans, or what we're calling them, American Africans.
You know, you have like it is a very different experience. Yeah, it is a very different experience that if you've lived in that environment your whole life, that is like the Western environment, you're not aware of how different it is. Because we're coming from a place where, as black people, we're the majority. So we spend our entire lives not dealing with that racist bullshit all the time. And then to go into a place where you're suddenly the minority,
it sucks, doesn't it?
It's not only sucks, but
it's a culture change.
Yeah.
I think like, the thing of you being a majority, like you are a Kikuyu woman from Africa who has lived in a space where you have an abundance of positive role models, negative role models, but you have an abundance of other Kikuyu women who you interact with. And you've lived in places where you've always been the majority. Always. You go to this world, even me, I was there for like a few seconds, and immediately you realize I stand out.
Yes.
For the first time in your life, you're like,
oh, this is...
Hey! And so now you realize these people who have grown up their whole lives that way have become different. So the Africans, we have a sort of confidence about our Africanness that black Americans have. It always feels like, and to an African, it feels like they're being fake, but sometimes they're not being fake, it's just like we feel they're too emotional, not picking themselves up by the bootstraps.
We don't understand where they're coming from.
We don't understand their context.
What it means.
There's a difference between slavery and colonialism.
Very big difference. And I think the biggest one for me is that, like, as you were talking, what went through my mind is that in Africa, I've never had to prove that I have a right to exist.
Yeah.
I've never had to prove that I have a right to be proud of my culture, my history, my traditions. Versus when I'm out there, it feels like not only am I, as a black person, representing all black people everywhere, which is a lot to deal with, but then on top of that, I have to use this visibility that I have to like be one of the quote-unquote good ones.
You see that issue?
And that's a lot of pressure.
It's a completely different... And being an African, by the way, is so different because I'd like to say we're in a whole different ecosystem that we start getting placed into certain things. For example, we have very many traditional things that historically have, quote-unquote, oppressed like women. However, like the women in Africa are extremely empowered.
Jesus Christ.
By who they are. So when they go to the US and they're being told, lean on the being black, lean on the being woman. But when they've been in Africa, like apart from my uncle making some really bad comments or some really crazy comments, it's not stopped you from getting a job.
I would say like it's a different type of feminism.
Yes.
It's a different type of feminism because right here, like in the West, what I found is that when you're talking about feminist causes, it's either like very serious because I have a lot of black friends who, because of their blackness, like the way they're treated by doctors is so bad. Like they are ignored, they're not given treatment, and it's for female hygiene stuff as well.
Yeah.
So when you say I have cramps, and the doctor's like, "Oh, I don't believe you," and you're like,
"Excuse?
Like, what do I do now?" Right? Because you're the only person I need to get my medicine. Versus here, it's not that we don't believe you, right? It's not that we're not taking you seriously. It's more that like we just don't know.
Yeah.
And that's a very different problem.
It's a different issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, so black people, we're just very different. I think even with the Liberian people, it's just it's unfortunately a bit of a disconnect that has to be reworked, which is why I said I thank Ghana. Like the people of Ghana, and you guys have done well to bring the black Americans in and show them, because this is the problem. when we go there, there's this thing, and I know if you've not been told it, your mom's been told it or something, where they look at you and you're like, why can't, sort of the white person is sort of kind of hinting that why can't my blacks be like you?
Again, I spent most of my university experience being the quote-unquote neighbor, like your friendly neighborhood black girl.
And it's always African people being told that.
I assimilated well, I speak like them, I think like them, I'm also light-skinned, so I'm not as threatening with my blackness.
Kind of light-skinned, relax. Are you team light-skinned really?
I'm sorry, I feel like that you're asking me to process a lot of emotions right now. Because like I want to fight you, but like what am I fighting for?
What are you fighting? Exactly. So it's always African people being told, like, why can't they be like, is that better? Is that better?
Like now you kind of center screen. You see, like we are a work in progress, which you'll get
if you know, you know. So many Africans have been told that thing, sort of as a dig, and it feels bad because it's a dig towards Black American, Black English people. But it's sort of, we are more, just by how we are, like the white person than we are like the Black American person.
Because of our mental colonialism thing. Like that is what stuck with us. Right? Because we have that... tunajisikia kama like we're white. In the sense of we have this pride in our culture, we have this pride in our history, we know who we are, and we know where we want to go. Actually,
that's the thing. It's the identity. We know, we have an identity. The Black American and the Black English, the identity has been like stripped and broken. Like you can't feel, like you can't, like, I loved Trevor Noah talking about, I think you're the one who showed it to me, the French national team. And when Africans were like, Africa has won the World Cup. Tasty. It's tasty. I'll add for you more Coke, don't worry. Later, first you sip through. But like how us Africans were jumping on the bandwagon of France being the African team. And then Trevor Noah said he got like a talk from the French ambassador in the US telling him that's really bad. You know, these people are French. We took care of them. We upped them, you know, and all that. And he was saying that it's not that they're French. It's that what Europe does is sort of forces them to choose. Like you are either American or you are African. You can't be someone of yourself. While us as African people from the soil, there's no question about me, Kariithi Gare from Central Kirinyaga. I know where I'm from. I actually have the privilege of knowing 4, 5, 6 generations above me about my history. And I'm not apologetic about being an African. While being abroad, sort of, kind of, I don't know, I've not been much, but it feels to me like you're being told to be apologetic about who you are. Or no? Anyways.
Right, on that note, allow us to pause once more.
As we go to question number 2.
Question number 2.